Hey everybody, it's Christine. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's a week late. Um, it's been a hectic week. When things, go wrong, they go wrong. Uh, my car has been steadily dying for the last year. Our window, we have a great big bay window, and the inside one is, we woke up and it was cracked. And it's steadily cracking as the days go by. And then my machine is deciding it doesn't feel like stitching some days. And yeah. So it's been fun. And when there's no finances really, and I'm not trying to get the pity stuff, it's just been one of those weeks where everything that can spaz out spazzes out. So yeah, my husband might be in the process of switching companies because the one he works for, while the boss is great, doesn't like to work long hours and then doesn't like to start another job in the middle of the day, and we just can't work like that. We cannot pay our bills like that. So yeah, that's been an interesting couple of months. So this is my weekly wrap up. So bear with me if I'm kind of not remembering a whole bunch of stuff, because I read this last week when I was off of stitching because we were on break. And I haven't finished anything since because I've been doing other stuff. Trying to. Yeah. So anyways, the first book I finished was The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot, and this is about Mia, who discovers that her father, while her parents never got married, her father is not a politician in a different country. He is the actual prince of a different country. So she's, I think, 14 and in grade 9, and she discovers that she's a princess. And she's a very immature, naive, severely naive girl. Has no idea about anything of sex. And I think, see, here in Canada we have sex education grade 5 and up all throughout. So I don't know about the sex education in the States, but she is so naive when it comes to stuff like that. And yeah, I think I gave it a 3. She was driving me nuts. So I will continue on because I want to see how the story progresses and see if she grows as a person or a character. And then I read my first Nicholas Sparks book because, as I had said before, these are a little bit more on the side of chick lit that I usually enjoy. We call these Kim books and Kim movies because my sister-in-law Kim, this is like her thing, and I've never watched these movies. They are just too on the cushy side, I guess. But I did enjoy it. But it was The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks, and I found it too short. I didn't get enough, I guess, of the story. It goes from kind of how they meet to several years later, and her having to make a decision of who she's going to stay with, her fiance or Noah. And then it jumps, to way future. So I wanted a little bit more of the in-between stuff. I can't remember if I gave this a 3, a 3.5, something like that. And then I finished Into His Private Domain by Janice Maynard, and I am going to continue on with the series because I want to see how the other characters are. I couldn't stand him. Could not stand him at all. Gareth, they live on this Wolf Island. Their last name is Wolf because the father had bought an mountain range, and they all built like their own houses on it because when he was younger, his mother and his aunt were kidnapped and murdered after they got the ransom. And they're multi-millionaires, like they're loaded. But she comes to the door asking him for a favor or something, and he's very antisocial. And she said, I need to speak with you. And he's so overbearing that he doesn't literally push her off the stairs like the front stoop, but his overbearingness and his coming at her, just motioning, like just walking towards her, made her stumble and fall, and she gets a concussion and amnesia. But he's an asshole to her. Sorry for the swears, but wow. Yeah, no. And then she's kind of trying to find, anything that would trigger her memories to come back. And he's thinking that it's she's got amnesia just for the sake of the family name to try and get something out of him. And it's just, and then he flips and he's trying to take care of her. And then he flips and he's an asshole again. And it's just, no. So I think I gave it a 2.5 because I like the other characters. Then I finished A Man of His Word by Sarah M. Anderson, and I think I gave this a 4. I don't know if it's an Own Voices book, but she's Indian, and she's fighting for Native American, sorry. She's fighting for, she's a lawyer on her reservation, I guess, and there's this company that's coming in and trying to make a dam above, because her reservation's in a valley, and if they make the dam, then the valley is going to be wiped out. And you find out later more things about it, but the guy, Dan, it's his uncle that's come in because he runs the company in Texas, and his uncle runs the company in, I can't remember where this is. I'm not sure where it is, but it's not in Texas. I don't know if it's Wyoming, South Dakota. And so his uncle is a goof, a jerk. And he has no idea of what's going on because, like I said, he runs the one in Texas. So he comes in and tries to figure out what's going on. It's really good. I really like this. It shows you how relationships should be. It shows you how race, color should not be an issue. And she tries to fight that because she's always been bombarded with people. Well, you're an Indian. You're a redskin. You're nothing. And there is an instance where they go to a bar outside of her city, and because there's another little city beside the reservation kind of thing, and they have to go outside of that city, and wow, does she ever get treated like a piece of crap, which is sad to say, but I know it still goes on. So very good book. And then reading this to my son, I finished The Reptile Room, a Series of Unfortunate Events, book 2 by Lemony Snicket, and my son is really loving it. He loves this one more than he loves Harry Potter. So that should tell you something. He liked Harry Potter. He thought it was good. But once I started reading this to him, he really is anxious to get to the 3rd book, but we're reading another one right now. So once we're finished that one, we have books 3, 4, and 5 here. So we'll be reading that. He gave it a 4, I think. And this is, 3 orphan kids. The uncle, Count Olaf, is trying to get their fortune. Yeah. Then I finally finished Lover Revealed by J.R. Ward. I did like it in the end. However, I still don't like Marissa, but she did grow as a character, and I like that about her. But it took her a long time to grow. And Butch, well, Butch is Butch. But I think I gave it 3.5, 3.75. The first part, it dragged a bit because there was just so much of what's going on, but you kind of need that to understand what's going on at the end. I know Alana didn't like it too much, and I've heard that a lot of people don't like this one, but it definitely picks up back in the next one. So maybe next week, this week I'm kind of figuring out stuff. Maybe Alana, if you're ready, we can do the next book because I have to do it for a challenge this month. and I really liked that world. So, and then I finished Artemis Fowl by Ian Colfer. Um, I was reading this to my son. He was just getting that glazed over eye look. He just, it's young adult, and it's for it's a 12-year-old, but he's a genius. So they're writing it as an adult, if you can understand that, because he's such a genius. He's got the mentality of an adult, but he's 12. Unfortunately, they didn't really choose certain words properly for a 12-year-old. My son is 11, and he is fairly bright, but this kind of went over his head, and I could see it. You could just tell, because in some spots it's really easy to understand and stuff. Oh, sorry, itchy skin. And in other spots, it's the writer's assuming you already know a lot of the stuff, and my son didn't. So that was a problem. So I just read it myself to finish the book, because you know me, I don't DNF books. I really don't. I've only done it twice in my life, I think. And one, that was when I was like 11 years old and didn't understand the writing, and my mom didn't even understand the writing. So that tells you about the book. And I couldn't even remember the name of it. I just remember kind of the cover, but that was back in 1987 time period. So, and there was another book I DNF too, and I can't remember what that one was. Other than that, I've read every single book I've started. So anyways, I gave this a 3 or 4. It's been one of those weeks. I will continue on because I want to see. Apparently he gets older in the books, I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, so not for my son, definitely. And then I'm also currently reading, or well, now I'm currently reading. Those are all the books that I finished. Oops. Let's see if I can get this to come up. Right now I'm reading Frontier Woman by Joan Johnston, which is right here. Let's see if I can get that up close. And I only have a couple days left. I'm about halfway through. It is slugging. It's starting to get a little bit better, and there again is a very immature character. She's been brought up by her father because her mother died when she was born, and she's the youngest, and her father hates the fact that he had 3 daughters instead of 3 sons, so he raised them to be sons. She's very immature, and when she's been told that socially, like in other social situations, you cannot be like this, and this is back in the 1800s, she's like, yeah, screw you. And she purposely talks and acts like an immature brat to piss everybody off. And it's ticking me off. She's getting better as the book progresses, but for the first third of the book, you just want to slap her. And you just want to say, wake up, grow up, get on with it. So then, once I finish that, because I've already downloaded this one, is Longing for Home by Sarah M. Eden, and that's the other cover. And that is for the Triple RC Challenge that I do. All the links are going to be below. And so I'm also reading A Moment of Magic by Christina Crockett. This one's a little bit slow because the chapters are extremely long. Like the first chapter alone, even though it doesn't seem like it, it was long, but it's dry. And I mean, this book was written in 1983. So, I mean, I don't mind reading books that are, old, because I grew up in the 80s. This doesn't bother me, but some of it is. It's just the way it was written that, the book starts, she's sitting outside on her lunch break, feeding the pigeons, whatever. And this photographer comes out with a bunch of young girls to photograph them in clothing, for their headshots and stuff like that. And she recognizes him from when her sister was like a I wouldn't say a pageant queen, it's Mardi Gras. It takes place in New Orleans. And so she recognizes him. He comes over not quite knowing who she was, because last time he seen her she was 14. And now she's in her mid to late 20s. And he comes and asks her if he could take her picture because she has a very intriguing face. And he's not doing this as a ploy to do anything. She gets offended. She gets totally offended and then walks away. Well, really? Because she knows who he is. She knows he's a photographer. She knows that he's not trying to do anything. And so he has to apologize to her. And he's not trying. Like most romances, they'll write in that he's trying to sexually, come on to them. And this one, he's not. So I don't know why she got offended. But I think it's because he did take her picture and she, took a hissy fit. And so they're doing costumes for the Mardi Gras. They're called crews. So from, beginning of November to February is all these cruise pageants and parties and balls. And then at the end, they get crowned, I think. Although they get crowned sort of at the beginning too. But yeah, I don't know. I remember some of these times, like, I was born in the 70s, so I did grow up in the 80s, but there's just something about it that is just rubbing me the wrong way. I'm not quite sure why, but see, that's only 4 chapters. Right there. 4 chapters. The book has 16 chapters in it. So long chapters when I'm tired just don't do it for me. And lately, that's the only time I get to read is at night at bedtime, and even then. So, there's that book, and then I'm currently reading The Genius Files by Dan Gutman. Mission Unstoppable. I'm reading this to my son. This book is just... These 2 kids realize that they're part of the Genius, or find out that they're part of the Genius Files, which is a government thing that the government thinks that kids who are geniuses are far better to do things in the world for missions than adults are, because kids don't have a political or a personal vendetta to do. So there's people trying to kill them, and there's 2 people that are trying to help them, and they're going cross country to a wedding. But on the way, they're stopping at all these little places because their mother writes an amazing but true website. So stupid little facts that she sees. So they're stopping at the Pez Museum, and they're stopping at the Biggest Ball of Twine Museum, and they're stopping at the Yo-Yo Museum. And it's just, you're getting bombarded with all these stupid little facts. And while my son is liking them, there are some parts that are driving him bonkers too. So it's, I think, a bit much. I mean, it's kooky and it's crazy, but these kids that are, being chased by adult assassins are getting out of them by not quite being geniuses, by idiotic, stupid flukes. That's the problem. Like, yeah. So we'll see how that goes. So those are the books that I'm reading. And like I said, I will be reading that other one. And hopefully I can start one of these 2 books. Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella. Her books are pretty easy to fly through, even though they're thick. They're easy, funny books, so they don't tend to drag as much. And then this one I know I'll fly through in a day or 2. And that's The Air by Kira Cass. I also have one of the short stories that I haven't read yet called The Prince. I might read that before this. Other than that, it might be a busy week because, as you know, I do the paper clips, the felt paper clips. But since I'm still having problems with my hand, like this finger clicks down in here, and it stiffens. Like I'll cut something out and I'll open my hand, and it'll be like this because it'll stiffen and it hurts. So what I'm going to be doing is switching over to wholesale selling. I will be making like 4x4, so there'll be 4 felties in a pack and just sell them like that. So you can cut them out yourself. You can put them in your scrapbooks. You can put them on bows if you're crafty. You can make your own bookmarks with them. You can put them on your paper clips. What else is there you can do? There's a bunch of stuff you can do with them. So I'll be setting up that in my Etsy shop, as well as I might still do 1 or 2 of the paper clips, but for right now, until I can get this figured out, which I go and see the doctor next month, until I can get this figured out, I'm having a hard time cutting. So it kind of defeats the purpose of cutting them out and selling them. Anyways, 20 minutes later, I'm so sorry to talk late. It's 2 weeks of wrap up though, so I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I think that is it, and I will talk to you later. Bye.